What's the most unexpected thing that ever saved your life? For years, I cursed the black ankle monitor strapped around my leg. I cursed the weight of it, the humiliation, the way strangers glanced at it before they ever looked at my face. I cursed the judge who ordered it and the prison guards who tightened it around my ankle the morning I walked out through those gates. But without it, I would have died in that room, and so would the others. It started long before the kidnapping, long before prison. It started the night I killed a man. Back then, I was 23 and stupid in all the normal ways people are at 23. I trusted too easily. I believed good things happen to good people. I thought loyalty meant permanence. My best friend, Nicole, and I had gone to a warehouse party downtown. The kind with cheap lights hanging from exposed pipes and music so loud you could feel it vibrating through your ribs. We'd spend an hour getting ready together in my apartment, laughing while sharing eyeliner in the mirror. "You think Ethan's gonna be there?" she asked while curling her hair. "You mean the guy who ghosted you for 3 weeks?" I laughed. "Hopefully not." She rolled her eyes. "You're impossible." Nicole had this way of making every room brighter. Men followed her around constantly. Women wanted to be her friend. Even standing beside her sometimes felt like standing next to the sun. I never minded. Not then. Around midnight, the party became too crowded, too hot. Sweat and alcohol hung in the air like a fog. Nicole disappeared at some point while I stood near the kitchen trying to open a warm beer bottle with a lighter. I remember checking my phone, 12:14 a.m. Then I heard it, a scream. Not the playful kind people make at parties. Not drunken laughter, pure panic. "Help me." For a second, nobody reacted. The music swallowed everything. People kept dancing. Then I heard it again. I dropped the bottle immediately and ran toward the sound. Down a narrow hallway lit by flickering red bulbs. One door was partially shut. Nicole screamed my name. I shoved the door open so hard it slammed against the wall. A man was on top of her. Her dress was torn. One of his hands covered her mouth while the other pinned her wrist down. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Everything after that happened in pieces. I remember grabbing the first thing I saw, a heavy ceramic lamp sitting on a table near the mattress. I remember shouting at him. I remember his face turning toward me, angry, annoyed, like I was interrupting something important. Then I swung. The lamp cracked against the side of his head with a sickening sound I still hear in nightmares. He collapsed instantly. Nicole scrambled away from him, sobbing. At first I thought he was unconscious, then I saw the blood, so much blood. "Oh my God," Nicole whispered. The room suddenly felt freezing. People began gathering at the doorway. Someone called 911. Someone else started filming with their phone. I stood there holding the broken base of the lamp while blood crept across the floorboards toward my shoes. The man died before the ambulance arrived. And despite everything, despite Nicole telling the police he attacked her, despite bruises around her wrists, despite witnesses hearing her scream, things became complicated. The dead man came from money. Old money. The kind that buys lawyers who smile while they destroy your life. They painted me as violent, reckless, jealous. They said I overreacted. The prosecutor repeated the phrase excessive force so many times I started hearing it in my sleep. Nicole testified once. After that, her family pressured her into silence. Threats started appearing online. Articles called me unstable, dangerous. Eventually, even Nicole stopped answering my calls. The last message she ever sent me read, "I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore." I never heard from her again. My parents didn't visit much during the trial. By sentencing day, they barely looked at me. My mother cried while the judge spoke, not for me, for herself. Like she was mourning the daughter she could no longer explain to neighbors. I was sentenced to 8 years for manslaughter. I served 6. Prison changes your understanding of people. You learn quickly that survival depends on becoming smaller, quieter, invisible. The first year nearly broke me. By the 3rd year, I stopped expecting letters. By the 5th, I stopped imagining life outside. Then suddenly, one rainy Thursday morning, a guard handed me folded clothes and said, "Pack up. You're leaving." Good behavior. That phrase sounded almost funny after everything. The world outside felt unfamiliar, too bright, too loud. Phones looked thinner, buildings taller, everyone moved so fast. The ankle monitor came before freedom did. A cold plastic shackle locked around my leg while an officer explained the rules. You violate curfew. We know. You leave the approved zone. We know. Damage the monitor. We know. I nodded through all of it. At that point, dignity didn't matter anymore. I found a tiny apartment above a laundromat and spent weeks applying for jobs nobody wanted to give me. Most interviews ended the second employers ran my background check. Some pretended to be polite about it, others didn't. One manager slid my resume back across the desk and quietly said, "You should have lied about prison. At least then I might have talked to you for 5 minutes first." The day everything happened, I was driving to an interview at a shipping warehouse 40 minutes outside the city. I remember thinking maybe this would finally be the one. The sky was gray, heavy with incoming rain. The highway stretched nearly empty ahead of me. That's when I saw him. A young man standing beside a dark sedan on the shoulder of the road, waving frantically. At first I considered driving past. You stop trusting strangers after prison. But then he shouted, "Please, my girlfriend's pregnant." I hit the brakes immediately. He ran to my window, breathing hard. "She's in labor," he said. "Please, I don't know what to do." I looked toward the sedan. The back door was open. "Call an ambulance," I asked. "My phone died. Please, she's screaming." I don't know why I believed him. Maybe because panic is hard to fake. Maybe because I needed to feel useful again. I followed him toward the car. The second I reached the open door, something slammed into my back. Pain exploded through my body, a taser. I hit the pavement instantly. The last thing I remember before blacking out was the man calmly saying, "Sorry about this." When I woke up, everything smelled rotten. Not just dirty, rotten. The room was almost completely dark except for a weak yellow bulb hanging overhead. Concrete walls, no windows. My head pounded violently. At first I couldn't understand where I was. Then I heard crying, soft, constant. Shapes moved in the darkness around me. Women, 5 of them. Every instinct inside me screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. A blonde woman near the wall slowly approached me. "Hey," she whispered gently. "You need to stay quiet." My breathing became erratic. He kept them underground in what used to be an abandoned storage facility. Sometimes he sold them, sometimes he rented them out to men who came late at night. The women spoke about it with hollow expressions, like their souls had detached from the memories just to survive them. One girl looked barely 19, another had cigarette burns across her arms. One woman, named Teresa, had been there almost 8 months. "Why hasn't anyone found this place?" I asked. "They don't look hard for women like us," Teresa answered quietly. Nobody spoke after that. Hours passed, or maybe only minutes. Time became slippery underground. Then I felt something pressing against my ankle, the monitor. For the first time since prison, I felt grateful for it. An idea formed instantly. "If this comes off," I whispered, "someone will know." The women stared at me. "The police monitor it," I explained. "If it's damaged or removed, it sends an alert." For the first time since waking up, I saw hope enter someone's face. Teresa grabbed my shoulders. "Can you get it off? I don't know." We searched the room desperately. Eventually, one of the girls found a jagged shard of glass hidden near a drain in the corner. Probably leftover from some broken bottle years ago. It took hours. The shard barely cut through the thick strap. My fingers bled, my wrist cramped. Every tiny snapping sound made us freeze in terror, afraid he'd hear us. At one point, footsteps echoed above us, and everyone went silent. But the footsteps faded. We kept going. Sawing, pulling, praying. Finally, just before dawn, the strap snapped loose. For half a second, nothing happened. Then, an alarm erupted from the monitor so loudly it nearly deafened us. Every woman in the room jumped. "Oh God," someone cried. Footsteps thundered immediately overhead, fast. Angry. The metal door burst open, and the kidnapper stormed inside. He looked completely different now. Not panicked, not desperate, cold. The fake kindness from the roadside had vanished entirely. "You stupid," Teresa tackled him before he finished the sentence. They crashed into the floor. The others joined instantly. Months of fear exploded out of them all at once. The man punched one woman hard enough to split her lip. Another clawed at his eyes. Someone screamed. I grabbed his wrist while Teresa pinned his legs. He was stronger than all of us individually, but not together. Finally, the youngest girl pressed the shard of glass against his throat. "Move," she hissed, trembling violently, "and I'll kill you." For the first time, the man looked afraid, really afraid. "You don't want to do this," he whispered. I almost laughed hearing those words. Because years earlier, someone had said nearly the same thing to me. And I had listened. That decision had destroyed my life. This time, none of us moved. Minutes later, we heard sirens. Then shouting, then boots pounding above us. The police broke through the door armed with rifles. I will never forget the expressions on their faces when they saw the room. Shock, disgust, guilt. One officer immediately pulled the kidnapper away while another wrapped blankets around the women. Someone kept asking me if I was okay. I couldn't answer. I just sat there staring at the ankle monitor lying on the floor, the same object I had hated every single day since prison. The thing that branded me as dangerous, broken, unworthy. That ugly black shackle had led police directly to us. In the following weeks, everything became a blur of hospitals, interviews, investigators, and news reports. The underground facility made national headlines. Authorities uncovered evidence linking the kidnapper to multiple disappearances across 3 states. Families who had spent years searching for daughters finally got answers. The women were given protection, counseling, new identities in some cases. And strangely, people started looking at me differently too. Not like a criminal, like a survivor. One afternoon, a detective visited my apartment. Before leaving, he hesitated near the door. "You saved them," he said. I didn't know how to respond. Because the truth was more complicated than that. Years earlier, I had saved Nicole, and it ruined my life. Then the ruins of that life saved me. Maybe that's how survival works sometimes. Not as redemption, not as justice. Just strange, brutal chains of pain leading unexpectedly towards something worth holding on to. A month later, I received a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a short handwritten note. "I heard what happened. You saved people again. I never properly thanked you for saving me too, Nicole." I read it 3 times. Then I folded the letter carefully and placed it beside the window where sunlight could reach it. For the first time in years, I cried. Not because I was broken, not because I was angry, but because after everything, the prison, the loneliness, the darkness underground, I was still alive long enough to finally be seen for who I had always been.